My story is a little unusual. I spent about 20 years on the buy and the sell side on Wall Street and in London. I now live in Manhattan. I guess the shortest version of my story is I spent about 11 years in finance, loved the first 11, and then hung on a little bit long. And then started to get interested in neurology, mythology, psychology, all these things that aren't typically bedfellows with finance. I went a bit crazy for a while in Manhattan. That wasn't fun. And then the start of this year, I decided to go full force into a business that I started called The Leading Edge. And
is there a website for
there
this?
There is, the leading-edge.org. And I've been thinking about ways to explain it in a way that is semi-comprehensible. And it is, I teach people how to use all of their brains. That I believe we use a very small, it's not the whole 10% of their brain stuff that's pop science. It's that basically your IQ plateaus at 20. And most people lean too heavily on their intelligence for the rest of their life, and they don't actually lean into wisdom. And that's what I do now, is I help people in finance who are very curious maximize their cognition.
You and I talked about something, and we agreed on it. And we've never met till this gathering, about curiosity and aging, and the benefits of curiosity while you're aging. Can you give a Cliff Note minute to a camera on that? This is not a TED Talk. No, you've done that kind of stuff. This is a fishing camp talk.
So let's look at it from a very simple perspective. Entropy, right? Everything falls apart, you're going to die, everything ends. That's a lack of energy. There's a saying that a closed mind is forced to feed on itself. You are not getting energy from the world if you're not open-minded. In contrast, if you learn about something and it excites you, it is quite literally giving you energy. It's not a way we think about information, but it is literally happening, and you can feel it in your body, you can feel it in your heart. Therefore, people that stay curious and open-minded with discernment for the rest of their life live longer, are happier. There's the W word, which we don't use because it sounds incredibly pretentious, wisdom, which is just simply knowing what to focus on and when. It is the number one correlate of well-being, particularly later in life, even more so than material circumstances. And yet we pay almost no attention to its pursuit.
So we discussed this in greater detail, and you and I discussed my new book, which was presented last night briefly. And it looks at pandemics, epidemics, plagues, and it looks at the players in each of them from 3,500 years ago till COVID. And we talked about the sensitivity of the leadership and how they make decisions. And you're an influencer of making decisions. How do you rate the response of governance to COVID? Fair question?
I'll make a broad observation.
Please.
Which was that for several thousand years, is my understanding, and I'm not an expert on this, the leaders of the greatest civilizations of the Mediterranean were sent to a place called Eleusis, a mystery school, wisdom school, where they had some sort of psychedelic experience where they died and were reborn, which meant that they were making decisions with a greater context and an understanding that perhaps death wasn't even the end. But what it meant is you had scared little boys walking into a room and men walking out. And that allowed them to make more centered, more selfless decisions. And I think that that kind of decision making and that kind of grounding is abjectly lacking, where most of our public figures, left wing, right wing, corporate CEOs, they tend to optimize for sounding smart without any sense of embodied heart or any sense of maturity. And I think you saw a lot of that in COVID.
You're here for the first time. Before you got here, you didn't know much about this gathering. You've been here now. You've met a lot of people. What's your reaction? Having fun?
I think it's an exquisite reflection upon you.
Oh, well, thank you. That's very kind. Did you go fishing today?
I did.
Did you catch anything?
I caught 3 fish.
You caught 3 fish.
It's my first. Yesterday was my first time ever casting a rod. And I was born without coordination. So it's the fact that I've even caught any fish is a miracle.
See, we're growing. Tom, thank you for consenting to record some views. You're a wonderful addition to this group. I hope you shake them up a little bit, and it's nice to have you here.